Hello, everybody. Welcome to Better You, where we're not perfect, but we're trying to get better every day. Have you ever lost your temper at somebody over something small? And later, you thought about it and asked yourself, why did I overreact like that? So maybe your child spilled some juice, or a teammate made a harmless joke, and you felt attacked. And have you admired somebody only to feel a strange discomfort or even jealousy later on? Like when a colleague gives a great presentation and gets all the praise, you smile and clap, but inside you feel annoyed or insecure. And have you ever trusted someone only to realize much later that they were playing a role or hiding something? Like a friend who was kind but always wanted something in return, or a coworker who acted humble but was quietly competing. Have you ever kept repeating the same mistake, even when you know better? Maybe you always say yes when you should say no, or fall into the same type of relationship. And do you find yourself chasing things like a job, a relationship, or a lifestyle just because they seem hard to get, or just because they are out of reach? And here is a deep one. Have you ever avoided thinking about death, even though it's the only thing that we all face? These are just a few of the powerful ideas from this amazing book, The Laws of Human Nature. In this episode, we'll walk through the key lessons and real-life strategies from the book so we can understand ourselves better, read others more clearly, and make wiser decisions and choices in our lives. Let's dive in. The first law that controls human behavior is called the law of irrationality. Recognize and master your emotional self. We all like to think that we're logical, but in reality, our emotions often make decisions before our brain can catch up. For example, imagine that you're in a meeting and a coworker disagrees with you. You feel attacked and you respond harshly. Later, you regret it. So why does it happen? Your emotional brain, it's called amygdala, kicks in before your logical brain, the prefrontal cortex, does. So, in these situations, when strong emotions rise, pause and ask, is this about me now? Or am I being triggered by something deeper inside? The second law is called the law of narcissism. Transform self-love into empathy. Everyone has narcissistic tendencies or traits, but growth comes when we shift focus outward and we try to truly understand others. For example, now you're talking to a friend and you keep steering the conversation back to your problems. This happens because it's natural to focus on our own feelings and our own problems. But when we do it too much, we push others away. So remember, we need to practice listening more than talking. So we need to say, oh, tell me about how you feel. Tell me about your day today. Law number 3 is called the law of role playing. See through people's masks. People often act differently in public than in private. They wear masks to get approval or to hide their motives. So think of this coworker who's overly friendly with the boss but treats others coldly. We've learned that certain roles get rewards, so we perform accordingly. So it's important to watch actions, not just words, and ask, are they consistent in how they treat everybody? Our law number 4 is called the law of compulsive behavior. People tend to repeat the same mistakes again and again, even when they know better. You keep dating emotionally unavailable people and wonder why it always ends the same. We're acting from unconscious scripts, often written in childhood. So we need to write down our repeated mistakes. We need to look for patterns and ask, what belief is driving this? Now, law number 5 is called the law of covetousness. That's the longing for what you don't have. We often desire things more just because they're out of reach. So, for example, a job that you never wanted suddenly becomes appealing once someone else gets it. So, this happens because scarcity tricks our brain into overvaluing things. So, what we need to do is to ask ourselves, would I still want this if it were easily available? Do I want this because it's good for me or because I can't have it? Law number 6 is called the law of short-sightedness. People focus on the short term and ignore the long term. We often react emotionally to what is happening now, instead of thinking ahead. This leads to poor decisions at work, in relationships, and even in how we spend our time. For example, you get angry at your boss and you want to quit on the spot, but you forget your long-term plan of building your career. Or maybe your child misbehaves and you yell, but long-term, that weakens the trust. We chase immediate pleasure, scrolling, fast food, saying yes to things without thinking, how will this affect me in a month or in a year? So before reacting, ask yourself, if I zoom out, what will this look like long term? So learning to slow down helps you make better decisions with less regret. Law number 7, the law of defensiveness. If you want to influence people, don't push. Lead them gently. When we feel pressured or judged, our natural reaction is to resist or shut down, even if the other person is right. That's defensiveness. Say, you tell a friend, you always interrupt people. Even if it's true, they will feel attacked and they will push back. But if you say, can I share something I've noticed about how our conversations go? Now, they're more likely to listen. The same goes for parenting. Instead of stop being lazy, you can try, I know it's hard to start, but I believe in you. Do you want to try together? So remember, people change more when they feel it's their idea. So be subtle, be kind, be patient. Influence happens through connection, not through force. Law number 8, the law of self-sabotage. People's true character shows under pressure, and it shapes their destiny. This law is about your character, the patterns of behavior you fall back on over time. Under stress or success, your real self shows. If your character is weak, impulsive, insecure, dishonest, it will eventually sabotage you. We all know someone who got a promotion, then became arrogant or careless and lost it all. Or someone who always blames others when things go wrong instead of reflecting. That's all self-sabotage. On the other hand, someone with strong character, calm under pressure, honest even when no one's watching, they slowly rise. Not because they are perfect, but because people trust them. So now you need to ask yourself, how do I act when things go wrong? That's your real character. And the good news, you can shape it by being honest, self-aware, and committed to growth, even when no one's watching. Law number 9 is the law of repression. Confront your dark side. When you bottle up emotions like anger, fear, or jealousy, they don't disappear. They show up in unexpected, sometimes harmful ways. You tell yourself, for example, that you're a calm person, but then explode at your child over something small, like a messy room. That's not about the room, it's built up tension coming out. If we don't acknowledge our darker emotions, they control us unconsciously. So, don't judge your bad feelings, journal, talk, reflect. When you admit them, you take away their power. Law number 10 is the law of envy. Beware hidden jealousy. Even when we admire someone, we can feel a subtle envy, especially if they have what we secretly want. For example, your friend buys a beautiful house. You smile and say, "I'm so happy for you." But later, you feel a bit frustrated about your own life. Envy can lead to resentment or self-doubt. If unnoticed, it can harm relationships. So remember, you need to notice it, name it, and flip it. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this person's path? Use envy as motivation instead of poison. Law number 11 is the law of grandiosity. Success feels great, but it can go to your head. We start thinking we're untouchable. For example, you get praised at work, and you suddenly stop preparing for meetings, assuming your charm will carry you. So this happens because overconfidence can lead to poor decisions and eventual failure. So remember, we need to celebrate wins, but stay humble. Keep learning. We need to stay connected to reality and honest feedback. Now, law number 12 is the law of gender rigidity. Balance masculine and feminine energies. We all have traits society labels as masculine, for example, logic or assertiveness, and feminine, like empathy and intuition. Rigid gender expectations limit our full potential. For example, a man hides his emotions to look strong, or a woman avoids leading meetings so she won't be called bossy. So, ignoring half of who we are makes us feel incomplete or fake. So it's important to let yourself express both power and vulnerability. So great leaders can be both firm and compassionate at the same time. Number 13, the law of aimlessness. Create a sense of direction. Without a clear goal or vision, you drift through life and you feel unfulfilled. You switch careers every year, you take random courses, and you still feel lost. It's important because direction gives us meaning. Wandering aimlessly can lead to frustration. You don't need a big life plan. Just ask, what excites me? What do I want to build over time? Take small steps consistently. Number 14, the law of conformity. Don't lose yourself in the group. People tend to follow the crowd, even when it goes against their values or better judgment. For example, your team laughs at an inappropriate joke, and you laugh too, even though you feel uncomfortable. So this is important because over time, this chips away at your identity and confidence. So what we need to do is ask yourself, am I green because I truly believe this, or just to fit in? Speak your truth, even quietly. Now, number 15, the law of fickleness. Popularity is temporary. People's opinions shift easily. One day you're praised, the next you're forgotten or criticized. So, for example, a teacher wins the best educator one year and is suddenly ignored the next year because of one unpopular decision. So, this is a very important point because if you chase approval, you will feel constantly unstable. What we need to do is to focus on your core values, stay consistent even when applause fades. True respect comes with time and within yourself. Number 16, the law of aggression. Recognize and redirect hostility. Aggression is a natural human instinct. Even the calmest, kindest people experience moments of anger. They experience moments of irritation or competitiveness. The key here is not to deny these feelings, but to be aware of them and channel them in healthy, productive ways. So, for example, let's say a colleague keeps interrupting you in meetings, and instead of saying anything, you stay silent, but later you find yourself speaking negatively about them to others or subtly resisting their ideas. That's passive aggression. Anger expressed indirectly. And also in relationships, this often happens. You feel hurt by a friend who didn't invite you to something, and instead of addressing it, you start ignoring their texts. So, this happens because we're told that aggression is bad, so we suppress it. But buried emotions don't vanish. They leak into our words, our tone, our actions, and this creates conflict. It creates confusion and damage, especially in close relationships. So what we need to do instead is to, number one, acknowledge it. When you feel anger or resentment, pause and name it. Say, I'm irritated right now. Why? Number two, find the cause. Is it a boundary being crossed, a lack of recognition, or insecurity? And number three is to express it wisely. Use calm, clear words. I feel frustrated when I wasn't given credit. Can we talk about how to handle that going forward? Or I feel excluded and it bothered me. I just wanted to share how I felt. Number 17, the law of generational myopia. Learn from every generation. So, each generation thinks it's right and often dismisses others as outdated or naive. So, for example, older people say, these kids are lazy, while younger people say, boomers ruin the world. So, this is important because this us versus them mindset blocks wisdom and growth. But instead, we need to talk to people from different age groups and ask what they've learned. Share, don't shame. Every generation offers a lot of value. And finally, we have the law of death denial. Live with awareness of mortality. We avoid thinking or talking about death, but facing it is what helps us live more fully. So, for example, you keep saying, one day I'll travel, or someday I'll start that business, but you never do because you think that time is endless. This is an important point because avoiding death makes us waste life, but embracing it brings clarity. Ask yourself weekly, if this were my last year, what would I want to feel proud of? Then act on it. So we need to prioritize depth, not distractions. If this inspired you, like, subscribe, and share it with somebody who needs to be a better you. And let's grow together, one insight at a time.